Get cracking!
All right, and welcome back to Sigma versus Alliance Game 2. We just got done with Game 1, where it was a little rough game for Sigma. They tried a pretty interesting draft that had, you could see the synergy in and of itself, but unfortunately Alliance pretty much counteracted it pretty easily by playing some pretty passive game and just holding on to some map control as long as possible. And eventually the Lone Druid, the famous Admiral Bulldog Lone Druid, came into play and pretty much wrecked Sigma. So we're going to try and get into Game 2 and see if Sigma are going to be able to shake off that pretty devastating loss in Game 1 and come back looking strong. And we are already underway into the draft, and I can welcome in my fellow caster. It's going to be Ayesee who's going to be the play-by-play for today.
Yeah, once again, thank you very much for having me in, and you kind of summed up Game 1. I mean, there's really not a whole lot else to say. It's in terms of Sigma's actual play so far as being able to execute, it wasn't bad. I mean, they were able to gank S4, who was on the Storm Spirit, a number of times. I mean, that hero traditionally one of the hardest to track down, but they had their lineup made sense. It's just Alliance read it so completely, and that's kind of one of the balances you have to factor into drafting is, okay, we have this really strong lineup. Is our opponents going something premeditated where they're going to execute their game plan and not worry about us, or are they going to be able to outdraft us or to simply just figure our lanes out and to capitalize on that? And that's exactly what happened. Alliance just read it like a book, and in the end, Sigma giving up a very quick GG and hoping to avoid another loss like that here in Game 2. And again, Sigma struggling throughout the month of February. Alliance fresh back from a vacation, so looks like they're pretty fresh and energized, and already landing the Invoker, the Rubik, and the Wind Ranger picked up in third position, which is always fun to see. Do want to point out one thing, though. Sigma, I mean, what kind of respect does that show whenever, yeah, you got 4 heroes banned out through the second ban phase, and basically you've done nothing but ban out marquee heroes for 2 of Alliance's players, going after Ayesee, Chen, and Enchantress, and Admiral Bulldog's Lone Druid and Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, they're trying to put Alliance trying to put them in some territory that maybe they're not quite comfortable with. But Ayesee is sure enough a good enough player to be able to adjust, and he just won't have that jungler to be able to. And he was a big factor he may not have played the flashiest Chen, but it was just kind of one of those. He did his job where he was just sitting there. He farmed up. He split push when he could. When he couldn't get to a team fight, he immediately started pushing in some other lane like a good Chen does, and he had a number of really good saves with sendbacks and some heals being thrown down. So he just did his job, and it worked out very, very well for Alliance. And yeah, the Admiral Bulldog, like it used to always be that joke, oh, Admiral Bulldog, he can only play 3 heroes, so you ban them all out and you're good to go. But that's no longer the case. Admiral Bulldog is a well-practiced enough player, and he's really expanded his hero pool ever since he joined the team originally. And he's a fantastic player on many, many offlaners, so you simply cannot address all of his heroes. But they ban out the most famous ones, the Furion and the Lone Druid, those big split pushers that Admiral Bulldog really loves to be able to play, and maybe trying to put them into pretty much just trying to make sure that Alliance can't pull off any rat Dota, I think is what Sigma's biggest thing is like, as long as we can take away that push, maybe they'll actually fight us in 5v5 engagements without needing some sort of advantage or some sort of split push going on somewhere else.
Yeah, but the problem is whenever you do that, though, you're giving up a lot, and EGM's Wind Ranger is just disgustingly good. We can see Sigma's very well-rounded so far. I actually really like their front 3 and the way they match up against Alliance. You have a lot of bursts coming out from the Visage and the Crystal Maiden in particular. Well, it's not so much Crystal Maiden's burst per se, just how strong Frostbite and Nova happen to be, levels 1 through 5, and even a little bit later. But in particular at those levels was just going. Someday I'm going to learn to focus on the pick that's coming so I can sound smart when it comes true. But that really is Admiral Bulldog's third horse in the stable so far as it comes to his famous soft laners and those of which he is most effective. The Bounty Hunter pickup, and yeah, like you said, the old joke, oh, he plays 2 heroes. Yeah, whatever. If you watch Bulldog, he plays quite a few more, and Bounty Hunter is one of the foremost among them. He's an excellent Bounty Hunter. He knows how to break a map down and just carve it up like a scalpel, especially whenever you talk about Invoker, who could have an omnipresent threat if he decides to go with an Exord build, or with a Wind Ranger, very mobile in her own right, high gank potential with a Rubik as well. Sigma, though, they're going to pick up the Bat Rider, and now it just comes down to Alliance's carry. The Lifestealer's available. PA is actually available, and I really wouldn't mind PA as a pickup here whenever you have a Clockwork to worry about, just being able to blink to blink out of the cogs if you happen to get caught, and so on and so forth. And we'll have to wait and see, though.
Yeah, right now Alliance have set themselves up so that they've got some good potential. Like, what I love about the Invoker pickup so early now, like formerly when you used to see it, it was always like, oh yeah, Exort build. We know exactly what kind of Invoker it's going to be. But now that Quas Wex has seen a rise with the recent buffs to the EMP and everything else, that it allows you to actually be able to use the Quas Wex Invoker very, very effectively. In fact, it's really been the flavor of the month. There's only been a couple Invokers that have gone Exort recently, but this leaves Alliance Draft. Like, those are two different play styles, where the EMP Tornado is very, very harassive and is able to, it's a bit more defensive, where the Exort build is really, really aggressive. It's throwing Sun Strikes in those side lanes, it's getting in that big Tornado Meteor combo, and actually trying to actively fight off of that, rather than just playing the more defensive game that I would say that Tornado EMP comes into. Now, right now, they've got a Bounty Hunter, so it does look like they're going to be wanting to fight a lot, but they could always just put out this aggressive lineup, expect Sigma to try and counteract it, and right now they're doing it. They have a lot of really early to mid game up on Sigma, and then they could back off and say, you know what, we don't really want to fight you. We can just go ahead and go a hard carry and go a Quas Wex build and just play the long game rather than trying to actively fight you 5v5.
Yeah, and this comes down to what you were talking about, Rad Dota. You know, if you want to go with the heavy Exor build, even after the nerfs to Necro Book, even after the nerfs to the Forged Spirits in the latest patch, Invoker's still excellent with just a flat-out 4-staff Necro Book build. He can hold down an entire lane by himself if he's well played, and there's absolutely no doubt he would be. The carry pickup here, though, this is where things get interesting. They could, you know, whenever you talk about this isn't really a lineup that wants to push as 5, so a Pugna pick, which is something you've seen them pull out of their pocket once in a while, you know, farm him on a Pugna. The Bristleback is still available, though, and Bristleback, a hero that we've seen load a farm more than a few times and have some success on. You know, it's not necessarily what you always want with the Bounty Hunter. Usually you want a little bit more burst. You're going to have a bit of that in terms of Wind Ranger's Power Shot and Exo build, Invoker's Sunstrike, and of course Bounty Hunter's Innate Burst. But, yeah, this is kind of a tone setter pick. Right now they have a variety of options to them. I actually really think I like a PA pick a lot here. Just because, yeah, you have to worry about Bad Rider, but she's a hero who's going to be pretty mobile, and so long as she's in the proper position, she can hang around the back of a lineup and not be a very appetizing target for lasso, or you know, just pick an axe. That's fine. We can do that too. Never mind. I don't know why I tried to. I don't know what this game is. I don't know.
You try and you have studied hours of Dota. You watch so much Dota, and you try and think of what the draft could be, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, man. It's just, it feels like you want to give up when a team does something like that. When you try and go ahead, this could be your options. All of a sudden, just way out from left field, they're like, no, go ahead, pick up an axe. See what you say about that one. Especially since Sigma still don't, like, I can understand maybe the last pick axe and going, okay, they don't have a hard carry. They just have early to mid game. Let's really fight them with the axe pickup. Like, Alliance still don't know exactly what kind of draft is going to be from Sigma. It's still pretty open, and they're going to go ahead with the Kunkka, which does give them a lot of mid game. So it looks like Sigma want to just play to their strengths and keep on fighting Alliance and not try and play a bit of a longer game.
Wow, that's actually, unless they switch this up, Loda's actually going to be on the Wind Ranger, and Ake at the moment has selected the axe. And then, you know, you can't read so much into that with the initial pickups because very often players swap and so on and so forth. But, you know, when you talk about axe, I mean, let's look at this. You know, yes, it's a surprise pick, but let's look at what he can do. We've seen Alliance, if you go all the way back to G League, but I casted that, geez, I guess it was the tail end of 2012, I guess, when I was casting G League. They actually ran some axe lineups that just flat out said, nope, we're going to take every tower you have by, like, I don't know, 2 minutes into the game. At least it felt that way. They were just able to get behind towers, melt creep waves, and put on a ton of aggression. But even beyond that, talking about how annoying Axe can be in lane. Yes, Battle Hunger is an absolute terror to have to try and cope with no matter where he's running from. And of course, he is a jungler, so it will be Ake sticking on him, and we'll see if Ake does want to spend the... Yep, he's already put his first point into counter Helix, so most likely looking to take that hero into the jungle. But he does work very well with the Bounty Hunter as well, whenever you're talking about Culling Blade and how quickly that can notch you some very, very easy track kills, so long as you have a good eye for the damage threshold. I mean, there is some synergy here. A little bit of a curveball lineup, but should be a lot of fun to watch one way or the other. Sigma's last pick, as you mentioned there, the Kunkka. I like this a lot based on what they see. Kunkka just loves to fight, man. I mean, by the time he is able to come to fight so damn quickly and so often with the Ghost Ship being on such a low cooldown, he helps his team in so many ways. But once again, he's a hero. Yes, he can technically farm from behind. He can flash farm just because of the splash and so on. Issue is, what do you do with him in the meantime? So they can't really. It's another situation like game one. They can't lose a laning phase. They can't really afford to be anything but even when they enter the mid game, or this game could very quickly get away from them.
Yeah, one thing that they do have is they have just tons and tons of initiation. So I think that while they really do need to win the early game, and I think they've set themselves up with pretty much Kunkka free farming top lane, 1v1 versus the bounty hunter. That's going to be a pretty good lane for him to be able to pick up a lot of CS, and he should be free farming. That's going to be your big moment of whether or not he can get in that early Shadow Blade and be that big additional physical damage splash onto all of those Alliance heroes. But they have such good initiation that the 15 to 25 mark, I think, is going to be a big moment for Sigma to really just exploit Alliance as much as possible. And I mean, X marks the spot, Clockwork, and Batrider. Once they have that Blink Dagger up on Batrider, they have so much good initiation, so much strong pickoff that that unlike last game, which their pickoff was still really, really good, but it was really dependent on actually being able to get in range of these heroes. Now with the Blink Dagger and like the hook shot, like those are such long range abilities that I think they should have a better chance at being able to tear apart Alliance bit by bit with this kind of long distance initiation.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Whenever it comes to initiation advantage, Sigma has it in spades. And that's all the more reason for them to want to keep it. So long as they can just make sure they're even, they should, in theory, on paper, have an advantage. If they go into the mid game having broken even in terms of map control, in terms of goal gain and level gain, then they're going to be able to be the pace setters. And you know, the issue with that again is though initiating into a team that's a little over leveled, and when that's your biggest strength, that can be as much a curse as it is a blessing. So we can already see Bucking, Matt, and Pos beginning to roam around a little bit, just trying to slow down Ake. Ake is going to work with the axe in the jungle, so he'll take a little bit of time to get up and running. They tried to smoke gank this bottom lane just to secure a little bit of an advantage, but you know, this is where it's hard decisions for them. You know, they can't just mill around the jungle and get nothing accomplished, but they can't just sit and soak experience from a Clockwork that very desperately needs it either. So the way that they spend their early time, especially with Bucking Matt on the Crystal Maiden, who can dip into the jungle if she sees an opportunity, they just need to be more efficient than they were in game one. And we use that word a lot in game one because they just flat out were not as efficient, and in the end, it cost them the game in very short order.
Yeah, and so far I'm not really liking this Axe picks up. I actually thought it was going to be a sort of a dual lane, where I thought they were actually going to see Wind Ranger as a core like she is right now, but I wasn't really expecting this defensive dual lane with Axe in the jungle, because Axe is a pretty slow jungler. Like, he's very, very dependent. So many junglers have fallen out of favor because they are just ruined if you have one or two heroes try and gank you constantly in the first 5 minutes. Like, it's already slow enough. That's why Chen and Enchanters are pretty much your only junglers that you really see so far. But EGM, if only maybe if Bucking Matt had actually caught him out from behind, they might have been able to pick him off. But he's right now trying to do what he can to pull and keep up a little bit of golden experience advantage since they are a dual lane. If this lane goes a little bit longer and they don't die or anything like that, they actually will be able to survive and potentially even pick up a kill in this lane. It's just... Yeah. This tri-lane coming out from Sigma is not all that aggressive because Clockwork just doesn't add that much to a tri-lane like this. It doesn't give you a whole lot of kill potential. He has a lot of survivability and great initiation once he has his ultimate, but in a tri-lane scenario, it's going to be pretty easy for them with two range heroes to stay away from Clockwork.
Yeah, it's level 5 is really where you start to see Clockgate start to feel pretty deadly. I mean, obviously level 6 is where he feels the best, but with the build he's going with right now, he's already got 2 points in the battery assault. Most likely we'll see another point go into Cogs, maybe one in the Rocket Flare, depending on what his preference is, but usually you'll see 3 points in the battery assault by the time he is level 5, and at that point, then he really can just start to lock them down. But the experience gain is abysmal right now for Sigma. Bucking Mad, just a fresh 2. Pos is still level 1. And Mickle sitting at level 3.5. And at this point, hang on, Loda sitting at level 4.5. Pull back and Feta. I was just getting ready to mention what's going on in mid. Feta is being spammed with Battle Hunger now by Ake. And Ake is basically just looping around. He's coming through here. He's going up to here. Then he's coming down and going, nope, Battle Hunger. Now I'm going to go right back in a jungle. And you're just going to lose all your health all the time. And yeah, it sucks to be you, Bad Rider. Sorry.
Yeah, this is pretty much they're using their Chen like you see some Chens and Enchantresses where they pick up an early creep and they just sit that creep in lane and just try and win the middle lane with it. Even though they're hurting their own golden experience, they're making their mid lane way easier for whatever mid hero that they have. And S4 is going to be pretty happy with this. I mean, Feta is just constantly being pushed out of lane and now might be in some serious trouble.
Oh, yep, there's the Battle Hunger afterwards. Cold Snap is there. And that's going to burn him down. He's going to land a tornado, and Feta may well die here. He will die. That is going to be our first blood. And, yep, that axe pick paying off. Well, you make a great point about, losing efficiency and all that. We can see Bucking Matt and Posh tried to come down to help. But really, with just the way that this axe works, they're not losing that much. I mean, axe is level 4.5. He's roughly on par in level with Loda, who's just now a fresh 5. So even though, yes, their efficiency's hurt a little bit, just because it is an axe who can just duck in and out of the jungle at will and at whim and still find something, it's just working for them. 1-0, Alliance leads.
Yeah, the two supports from Sigma really need to make... I mean, it's a Visage Crystal main. Like, that is such strong laning presence, but the dual lane that they're facing up against is really defensive. So, again, they have this, really good aggression. Sigma just can't quite make it work for them because the way Alliance have done their lanes and the way they're playing right now is just too defensive for Sigma to actually find that opening. So, they really need to gank middle again because, honestly, this Axe is doing their job pretty much, and Fata's going to fall again.
Yep, looks like he will. See, is there enough tick damage?
He's got the ball. He's good.
Yeah, he's all right. Still, run out of lane, and Shag Bar trailing him, giving him a pat on the back, telling him, hey, man, it's all right. Axe sucks, we know. But yeah, this is just going the way of Alliance once again, and this is the position for the second game in a row that we knew they really couldn't afford to find themselves in. Miggle spots EGM. He will be telekinesis. Shackle Shot does latch, took a second for it to proc, gets the cogs down just in time, but Loda connecting on a level 3 power shot, bringing him down quite low. And he does find a double damage, does have a salve, so he'll be back in decent shape. But, I mean, taking a look at the gold graph, we're up to about 750 gold, again, without a single tower down at just 6 minutes in. That's pure efficiency lead, nothing more.
Yeah, and the experience is even worse. Like, they've got a jungler advantage who's also gotten that big amount of experience on that kill middle. So Aki is the same level as Fata right now, but he's in serious trouble.
Yep. He got caught. A little bit greedy, but, I mean, look at him. He's already pretty tanky. And Fata, yeah, he's just been tracked. Bulldog is level 6. Could not get off the Shuriken Toss. Tornado will do the job, though. And there you go. Bat bites the dust for the second time in a row. And this is beginning to look ugly. A Bat Rider who gets off to a poor start is a very, very, very big liability. He has to have his items, and you really want him using Lasso as quickly as possible to make things happen on the map. And once again, Loda just says, that's fine, I'll free farm. However, if there is one bright spot for Sigma, Paris is finding a fair amount of farm. 46 CS leads the board right now. He's on a great pace. They just have to get him involved sooner rather than later now.
Yeah, he again did have pretty much a free lane versus Bulldog, but Bulldog picked up what he wanted, which was just levels. Like, he picked up level 6, now got that track gold, and now he's going to be a huge advantage for his team for the rest of the time. And especially with the advantage that they have in the laning phase, this should pretty much constantly continue. Bulldog's actually going to teleport bottom, and they're going to see if they can pick off Miguel here, because if it's just a Kunkka is not a hero who is able to provide a pretty much a 1v5 effect for you. Like, as long as they shut down the supporting cast and it's just a Kunkka free farming, they don't really care that much if he's sitting there top constantly picking up that farm. So I like what they're doing right now. I like the fact that Admiral Bulldog is trying to move around the map. But one thing, Alliance, that is just a stupid combo. The Cold Snap Battle Hunger, basically ensuring that you're maximizing your extra bit of damage from Cold Snap, and the damage out of time is just absurd. Not to mention that constant disable. This combo that Alliance have right now is just disgustingly dirty.
Oh, it is. And we can see Axe now level 6 has taken Culling Blade. It's only going to get more deadly now. Has the ability to just one-shot heroes that allow themselves to get too low. Speaking of low, Miggle gonna bite it almost certainly here. Bulldog right there to dive and secure yet another track kill. Loses last bit of mana and is actually going to take quite a bit of damage as he ran into the cogs twice there, but will be able to make it to safety. But look how, speaking of defensiveness, look how defensive Sigma's playing right now. You think this is a lineup that they drafted thinking we're going to be grouped as 4 in our jungle, terrified to go anywhere else on the map? Like, it's just, whenever you see a lineup like they've drafted, I liked it. I really liked the Kunkka Pink at last. They haven't really put that to use, but once again, the laning phase just getting away from them, and we're up to a 2,000 gold lead without a tower down. And yes, A lot of that has to do with kill goal, but I mean, and more importantly, just map. Sigma just can't afford to do what they want to do, which is pressure this map. And Clockwork's not even level 6 yet.
Yeah, I mean, Kunkka may be top of the CS, but you've got Wind Ranger and Invoker not far behind him. And Bat Rider, you've already talked about how badly he was shut down. He doesn't have a whole lot of CS. In fact, he's full-time jungling, it seems like. He doesn't even want to get near this middle lane half the time just for fear of that Axe combo. But Admiral Bulldog's actually trying to get a little aggressive here on Kunkka, but he may get turned around on.
Yep, bucking mad there to land the Frostbite, and Bulldog says, oh, okay, Paris, you want to hang? That's fine, we can hang. He's going to kill him. That's just goofy. I have no idea what the plan was there. He may end up being a return kill. Nope, Track's there, and no Blink Dagger. Once again, shutting down the Bat. This is a loss of effectiveness. He's going to make an old end around okie doke. He is dusted, but not anymore. And, yep, he's going to be able to make it back, and they know, unless they're willing to try to dedicate a lot to trap him in, he makes it away. But yeah, like, Paris, you have to just be aware of how much burst a bounty hunter actually has. And now Bucking Mad in trouble, and that's another track kill. Bulldog is absolutely doing work. Nice hook, though. Maybe they can get a return kill on S4. S4 caught in by Miggle. There's a two-man tornado. S4 waits for the cogs to expire. Once again, Track comes into play. Bulldog does not have enough mana or any bottle charges, so instead of playing aggressive, we'll go ahead and retreat. But look at bottom lane. The whole time that was happening, not only did they find 2 free track kills, Loda continues to make up ground. This tier 1 bottom's going to take a bit of damage now. He's on his way to 4 staff. I mean, this is just Alliance seizing control of this game.
Yeah, we may see even earlier, like I really thought Sigma, despite the fact that they weren't looking too good the last couple of weeks, I've always had faith that this team is going to be top tier and they're going to be able to go really, really far. But this game is just looking so rough already. We may even see an earlier GG than game 1. They just, unless they make something change soon, Alliance, despite the fact that neither team really has this strong hard carry, Alliance are going to be able to use that Wind Ranger, who's pretty much free farming right now, to get really, really aggressive, and there shouldn't be much stopping them from taking towers because they're going to have such a big, pretty much this harassment from the Quas Wex Tornado EMP plus Battle Hunger. Like, how do you approach a lane and try and actually get close to defending that tower when you've got that kind of a range harassment? Like, just that combo by itself is enough to kill heroes.
EGM caught by a hook. Here comes the boat. EGM will end up paying the price, so there's a free one going the way of Sigma. That's the way to get things back on track, boys. And wow, Phaethon going to give the old end around. And Bulldog finds a kill elsewhere. In the meantime, S4 burning the death will be able to make it away. Cogs just a little late. And now, okay, God, that is miserable. Oh, it's so miserable. He actually dusted S4 there. He was on the high ground. They didn't have a ward in position, so unable to see him make it away. But yeah, I love watching professional players do the same things you see in pubs. Just run into a fight. Oh, don't want to fight, but here's a battle hunger to make your life miserable. Enjoy.
Yeah, this Axe is doing way more work than I would have given him credit for. And I think the biggest part was them being able to secure that early kill, because then once you have level 5 Battle Hunger, also the fact that Ake really, really early on did a really good job jungling pretty defensively, and specifically staying in this hard camp right here. He stayed away from the rest of the Sigma because he knew that they had a really good dual roaming support combo that could easily kill heroes by themselves. Despite the fact that Axe is pretty tanky, he still could have easily gone down to that double slow combo. So he stayed pretty defensive, just picked up level 2, picked up level 3, and then once they got that kill on middle, it was pretty much all over, because then Axe is level 5, and Battle Hunger really starts to hurt at that point in time.
Oh, absolutely. We can see a smoke out of Loda and company. They're going to move up and spot Bucking Mad. Bucking Mad, yep, never had a chance. Oh, hang on. Flame Break a little off the mark. Don't know that it would have saved him anyway because Bulldog was there with Track, but still, these track kills, that's got to be, what, 4 or 5 now for Bulldog? Basically, every kill he's been a part of has been a track kill, and yeah, he plays at least one other hero very, very well outside of the Lone Druid and the Nature's Prophet, and, you know, it's people forget that. Like, I can remember when Bulldog first came up, he actually played as much Bounty Hunter as he did those heroes. He kind of got so damn good at the other two that they became his mainstays, but still, just a phenomenal player, and Poss could be in trouble. He is going to duck into the woods, but still, total map control ceded to Alliance at this point, coming up on about 7,500 gold advantage for Alliance, and we're just 14 minutes into this game. Sigma's already down to that point where they have to get a win, otherwise this game will simply spiral away from them.
Yeah, and this big win is going to come from Feta being able to pick up the Blink Dagger and him initiating and then them following up with the Kunkka. Like, the Kunkka is a big boon in team fights because of that ghost ship, but Bulldog's in trouble.
Bulldog got spotted. That's a nice kill. And that might be enough to thwart this push from Alliance. S4 is going to spot out Paris. Paris shows off the Shadow Blade, gets off one nice shot, but 4 staff enough to get him back to safety. But that's a step in the right direction. Just being able to once again say, okay, no, let's slow the pace down. Let's get our items. Feta, speaking of, just picked up his Blink Dagger. It's on the way to him now, as you said. That is such a key item for them to have. Paris' item development, though, is going to be a huge point as well. He really can't die for free too many more times. He needs to make sure he stays alive. He's soaking experience from these fights. He's earning gold from these fights. Because Kunkka, again, a great fighter, but they don't have a ton of other damage outside of him. You have Visage with the burst, yes, you have Freezing Field, so on and so forth, but you don't have another core that's going to be relied upon that heavily. So he has to make sure he develops continually. There's the lasso on the S4, blinks past the tower. Ake's there, though, grabs Bucking Matt and drops the hammer. Culling Blade splitting the skull. Boat was stolen by EGM as they turn it right back around. Paris now caught with the shackle one more time. Ake dunking on kids as Bulldog following it up now. There's a shuriken toss and another return kill. And Ake's not done. Still doing work. Miggle's caught. They're both tracked. Make it 3. That's a triple kill for Ake and a damn good-looking one. Leaving a lot of corpses on the ground split in half. And, yeah, that's what you're worried about. After that, by the time this tower's down, we'll be very close to a 10,000 gold lead. And we're not even at the 20-minute mark. Sigma, once again, giving up too much during the laning phase, losing too many fights early, and seeing this one slip away.
Yeah, this is just something that Alliance, could you have a hero, like when the support, when the jungler picks up a Blink Dagger at the same time as your mid, and there is no, there's no difference in items either. It's not like Feta has, some other big item he could talk about. He has Brown Boots still. You know, when that happens, you're in serious trouble, and Ake's just shutting down Feta left and right, once again going for him.
Tornado. Oh, hey, Dagon. I actually really love Dagon on Bounty Hunter. Like, whenever you get a little bit ahead with Bounty, it's not like a core item. Certainly wouldn't recommend it for general build. But whenever you're a little bit ahead and you know you can just look to close a game out soon, hang on, Miggle might be able to bring down Ake. And will, so a little bit of a morale booster there, if nothing else, getting rid of that damned red son of a gun. But yeah, Dagon on Bounty Hunter, I think it's a little bit of an underrated build. I really like what it lets you do if you're sufficiently far ahead that it's not a big deal for you to pick it up. You're not depriving your team of some other item that they really need. Say if you're going a Vlad's build or maybe a BKB because you're just being locked down too much. But it just lets you be a one-man killing machine, or just makes you more effective in team fights. Gives you even more ways to contribute damage to key targets. So Bulldog going to be looking to make some folks pay. Yeah,
and it synergizes really, really well with the axe. Just being able to put that hero low enough for you to actually be able to dunk on them with the Culling Blade, and that boon into the team fight, that being able to have that extra movement speed with that and track is huge. But Mad, he's going to get picked off once again.
Yep.
No hero is safe.
Brought down, and S4 going to have to make his way away. He's got a whole team on the way to help him, though. And they do get off the dust. Paris is there. Doesn't have X marks the spot. Now Bulldog's there with the immediate track upon landing. And looks like they want to back off of this. And this is the right call for Sigma. I feel like their decision-making is actually shoring up quite a bit if they can make it to safety. It's going to be tough. Yeah, with Ake there with a haste. Catches out pause once again. There's X marks the spot on Ake. Power shot to follow it. And, yep, he was in the process of dunking on the winged dead bird, but instead ends up being a return kill. He's down for 20 seconds. Maelstrom build on Loda. And looks like there's a newfound respect for the Maelstrom coming out for Alliance. Second game in a row we've seen it. And they actually managed to get the courier, though. Didn't even see how. Looks like it was, yeah, the Visage familiars must have got it somewhere in this general direction.
Yep, that poor familiar getting caught out by its fellow birds is easy pickoff for Sigma, but it's just so much uphill to be trying to fight up against.
Oh, hook on the Loda. Managed to bring down the bounty. This would be a good couple of kills if they can get them. S4 hustling away and using the Tornado EMP to disjoint the pursuit. Even if Paris caught him, would have had no mana for an X or anything like that. But this is what their team needs to do. I feel like they're giving themselves the best chance they have. Shackle's there. Ake, though, once again, got a little ahead of himself that time as Bucking Mad requires a Fade Bolt to be brought down. Paris, though, once again in some trouble. Power Shot coming out of the woodwork. Nice Visage Soul Assumption, though. Forces S4 to scurry away. And that's going to be a win, at least for the moment. At least it would seem to be that. And it will be. That's a 4-for-2 exchange. And Loda in some trouble. Could be in some trouble. But looks like, yeah, they're going to continue to go for it. However, there's Bulldog showing up and showing off the burst. So they get a nice return kill. Loda now leading the pursuit against Post. Familiar stuns are there, well microed by him, and that should be enough to get him back to safety. So a little bit of greed out of Sigma there. Had to know Bulldog was up, and they certainly knew he had a day gone, and unfortunately got their eyes a little bit bigger in their stomach that time around.
Yeah, that was such a big team fight for them, especially since the way it was initiated so well by Alliance. Ake had that beautiful blink in and 3-man call. Unfortunately, it was only level 1, but it was still a really good disable for him to throw down. They just didn't have much AoE to throw in after that. Only Invoker has anything to be able to talk about. But I think that was a bit of a lucky team fight for Sigma, and then they just kind of all threw it away by trying to get greedy and go for more. This is something that, by the way, this Loda Wind Ranger, this is something that Bucking Mad was talking about. There may be a newfound respect for the Wind Ranger core because of what is a pretty innocuous change. Focus Fire no longer has that animation, allowing you to pretty much instantly apply that damage. So, interesting idea.
Parrish trying to go on Ake. Had no idea the bounty was there. Check that. Had no idea there was an alliance there. And now they're thinking about trying to turn this around. They want the kill on Ake, but Ake says no. No, that's your head rolling around in the river right now. And Phaeton able to even make it into the fight there. He's actually being pursued out and may not make it to safety. Ake is just hustling with those Tranquil Boots and that movement speed. And here comes Loda. Beautiful shackle off of the Force Staff to the high ground. That's a mega kill for Loda. That's 19-9. And that is probably just about that. Sigma's actually stopped the bleeding very well, but they've lost too many subsequent engagements since then. We see the gold was up to near 10,000. They actually got it dipping in their favor briefly, but things just continuing to get more and more out of hand. Taking a look at the Bulldog, he is level 11 now, so level 2 track. That's really the runaway level for a bounty hunter. Level 1 track is great. It'll get you a lead, but in terms of just being able to shut a door and slam a door with a huge gold lead, it's generally always when level 2 track comes into play. Loda, as you said, using Focus Fire, now sticky instead of simply disengaging whenever you stop firing. And not going to get a chance to show that off this time, though. But 22 minutes in, my friend. I mean, Sigma, I feel like they're doing everything they can. What would be your plan? Hang on. EGM, hooked in the river, but no follow-up kill. But yeah, what's your plan if you're in Sigma's captain share, you think?
I think pretty much right now they're just looking for 5-on-5 engagements and hoping for the best ghost ship of their life. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
And here comes crossing ships. 2 ships passing in the night. Miggle got 2 with the cogs. Damage really isn't there, but now they're getting this around. Poss likely to die to S4 here as he comes back out. They do manage to trade 1-for-1 so far, but Ake changes that around, just hustling around, looking for more and more targets. And Miggle gonna end up dropping to Loda. Got the cogs off beforehand. In the meantime, they're still trying to pursue out Fada. There's a track onto him, showing off the blink to get himself back to base. But this could be a Roshan attempt. Nonetheless, it'll be at least a tier 2 or a Roche, one would think.
Yeah, I don't think they quite, like, despite the way that Alliance are just, like, kind of building on this big gold advantage that they have, they don't really have a whole lot of physical damage. And nice deny there by Poss using the familiars, but they honestly don't have, a whole lot of physical damage, especially since their other core right now is the Invoker, who went for a Quas Wex build, so you don't actually have the big damage-dealing Forge Spirits, the minus armor, plus the extra damage from Exort. So it's just Loda right now, and he's opting for a Maelstrom like that. Doesn't really give you the kill potential versus Roshan. So they instead just take the tier 2 back up, and they do need to, like Alliance, despite the fact that they are very, very far ahead, they do kind of need to start taking down some of these tier 2s, at least the tier 2s, and start controlling the map away from Sigma a little bit more. Because you could see how, especially with a Kunkka like this, once he picks up that Crystallis, it only takes one really bad mistake for Sigma to have an option to be able to come back into this game. Normally, you wouldn't say that because Kunkka is not the hardest carry in the world, but neither team has a very hard carry on either side. So Kunkka can surely just be able to, if they get the right team fight, can easily just use that AoE of Torrent and Ghost Ship and that big splash hit to be able to take down most of Alliance's health, and then from there it's simple follow-up, and they can really start snowballing against Sigma soon.
S4 going to be lassoed out. That's a good catch, and they're going to be able to blow him up in a hurry. They needed that, and they're going to give Bulldog as well to Cogs. However, the burst is there on both sides. Mikkel ends up getting one and able to force that himself to safety. However, here comes the return, and Ake just continuing to be such a force on the map for Alliance. Just able to disjoint this. Here's S4 off the buyback. And yeah, it's a worthy buyback. That's going to be a dead pause for sure. Loda actually takes that from him with the Maelstrom Lightning. Shackle not going to latch. Ake will be able to grab him, though. And that was probably the high watermark we've seen out of Sigma. That's the best, by far the best lasso we saw. But in the end, I mean, when you start making these moves and you're already this far behind, it's just so hard to accomplish much of anything. I mean, when you look at the net worth, the top 4 on the board right now all belong to Alliance.
Yeah, it's pretty rough for Sigma right now, and I don't think they're going to be able to find a comeback. That really was just, sure, they got the pick off on the most important hero. The problem was the most important hero also had a buyback and had his tier 1 tower right there for the fight and hit the most beautiful Tornado EMP on his way back in. So, like, once you hit that Tornado EMP, it's just all over. This lineup from Sigma has very much a just one-hit shot. Basically where they throw their big combo, they try and kill a couple of heroes if they can, but any sort of lengthier team fights are not really going to be going their way, as you're just relying so heavily on that splash damage from Tidebringer. But then you, on the other side, Loda looking really, really good with his amount of damage with the Maelstrom. He actually went for a Lincoln Sphere, which isn't quite what I was expecting. I mean, being able to stop a lot of this initiation from Sigma, I suppose, is important. But as you can see, like, S4 has been like the bigger target for Sigma. They really need to be able to take down that Tornado EMP because it's so good at being able to disengage and upset good initiations from Sigma.
And there's X marks the spot, EGM. Actually managed to steal it and X'd himself. Now we're going to have a hook to the side. Didn't see if it hit someone or if it was into the back of someone. Oh, caught out in mid, though. Poss blown up by Bulldog. Bucking Mad has to make a run for it. Ake manages to grab Paris. And once they grab Paris, like that beautiful freezing field from Bucking Mad, though, that's enough to at least slow down their advance. In the end, though, that gold and level experience showing itself. And this is how it usually feels. Even when big plays are made, it just feels like you're not getting any damage or any real follow through out of them. And that's exactly what that was. GG's called 30-13. This series collectively took less than an hour, and Alliance in their debut coming back after a much-needed vacation, looking pretty damn good, snatching a win here in their debut of the D2CL.
Yeah, like you said, they just look so damn good right now. They never really made any big mistakes, like, at all. Like, I was looking back, I was trying to think back into this series, and there was nothing that Alliance did that was really, in my mind, an error. Like, they just played beautifully because they identified in game 1, they just identified what they need to do, which is play really passively, and they got caught out once or twice. But once or twice against such a heavy ganking lineup like Sigma's, like especially like the Beastmaster being able to have a Blink Dagger, you know somebody's going to get picked off every once in a while. But for the most part, Alliance made sure they kept that to the minimum, and they played it really, really well in this game as well. They I don't know how Ake did it, man, but that Axe just managed to just destroy. I mean, he single-handedly pretty much won the game for Alliance because his rotation in middle being proven to be pretty successful, and after that point in time, he just provided such a big boon in all of those team fights by being able to just cut short people's lives with that culling blade and give them that extra movement speed. Admiral Bulldog as well. I mean, the two of them combined were just able to burst down heroes real quickly, give themselves a bit of an advantage by being able to take one hero out of the team fight very, very quickly, and then from there, it was just all downhill, an easy ride for them. So, Alliance looking very, very good. Guys, though, again, I didn't really get a chance just because the whole Axe pick and everything else kind of threw me for a loop, but we still need to give away that that item from in-game. So I'm going to go ahead and throw out that code right now before I forget. And then I'm also going to give away another one on my Twitter at Dota Capitalist at the end of this game. So the code for this one is UCMD, Dota2Lounge.com/giveaway. I know some of you guys were sitting there all game long. When's he going to say it? When's he going to say it? There you go. I just said it right there, and you have your advantage. Go put that in, and you get 10 easy rares. And then in another 10 minutes time, I'll give another one away on my Twitter. But AC, it was a short day for us, man. It was a short day.
Fun day, though. Got to see some interesting pickups. And, yeah, I got to see Alliance run an axe. I was really intrigued by the Maelstrom pickup on the Wind Ranger. You know, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Obviously, a risk involved there. That's one thing I did want to touch on real quickly, though. Even though they killed the Bat Rider as often as they did out of mid, by the time the laning phase began to break down, he was actually still on par in levels with S4's Invokers. So as brilliant as it was rotating the axe into mid to harass as much as he did, it is worth noting that was a bit of a gamble. I mean, it was one of those things, if he's not effective, if they're unable to really slow him down, then he's leeching a lot of experience from S4. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed what we saw today. A really creative way to run axe and use him, and especially against a hero so dependent on a couple of core items like a Bat Rider. I feel like this is a game a lot of folks can take what they saw today and put it in their own matches and begin to experiment. It's always fun when you see professional teams show you something new.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Guys, that's going to be it for today. So Alliance take it pretty easily, 2-0 against Sigma. Tomorrow, though, you'll definitely want to be able to tune into this one at 1800 CET. We're going to have Cloud9, the newly sponsored Kai-P team, going up against Team Liquid. So that should be a pretty damn good match. AC and I will once again be back casting that match. So be sure to go to joindota.com. Go ahead, make that, just make it your homepage. Just make it your homepage. That way you can always see that live and upcoming tab where we have so many matches going on right now. AC, I want to thank you again for joining me. Feels like we're just kind of like back and forth. Thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you.
My pleasure, brother. It was absolutely my pleasure, and a hell of a fun day. Looking forward to tomorrow as well.
All right, guys. Go follow him at AC. Go follow me at Dota Capitalist on Twitter, where we will be giving away another code in just 10 minutes' time. And also, again, another reason you should go to joindota.com, because we have another tournament going on right now. The MLG TKO tournament is being run. And right now, Toby1 and Snake King are casting that one over at MLG.tv. So if you go over to joindota.com, you'll always be able to see all the different tournaments that Join Dota has going on right now. In fact, we've got another thing coming up tomorrow. There is going to be more JDL matches, at least one match tomorrow that is going to be covered by the community, guys. So definitely go check that out. Go follow Twitch TV/JoinDota Community and follow that channel, because you want to be able to support the guys that pretty much the amateurs that are trying to have been in the trenches pretty much for a while and are trying to make their way up. And they're all guys that I'm good friends with that I know have been working really, really hard. It's just sort of this handpicked group of guys that I recognize as hardworking, and I wanted to be able to give them a little bit more of a spotlight. So please go check that out. Please go support those guys. And that's going to be it for this Daily Motion stream. Again, guys, MLG TKO is going to be going on right now. So if you're looking for more Dota to be able to watch, go over there. We're going to have to try and have the VODs up tonight, but we're having a little bit of an issue. So we're going to get them up as soon as humanly possible. I promise, guys. We have every incentive in the world to get it out to you guys. We just having a little bit of issues with how to be able to get it up. So it will be up shortly on Daily Motion, and then 48 hours after that, it will be live on our YouTube channel. So be sure to go follow that. And that's it for us, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll probably see you. I'll probably actually be joining Toby1 in the next hour or so for his MLG TKO broadcast. So if you guys want to check out more, be sure to go over there. Thanks a lot, guys. Good night.